Hello and welcome to the Car Care channel and welcome to the 2025 Toyota Crown Signia. A brand new model from Toyota, a very interesting model, and even though it is not a direct replacement for the Venza, but we're gonna call it that technically because it is taking the place of the Venza. The Venza is leaving us after 2024. This is a very interesting car because this is what I call a parts bin special car. And it is something that Toyota specializes at making. It is such a nice thing to see it back. Let us start in the video. We're gonna do a proper technical review. We'll look underneath it, outside, inside, to see if this is a good model or not, right after this. Let's start our technical review under the hood. So the Crown Signia only has one powertrain option, which is actually not exclusive or new or unique in any way, shape, or form to the Crown Signia, and that is the best part. So let's start with the engine. This is a very familiar engine, and it's not new by any stretch. This engine has been out since 2018 in the Camry Hybrid. This engine is the A25A FXS 2.5 liter non-turbo, naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. A very straightforward engine. A lot of technology with this engine in 2018, but that is 2018. We're in 2024, and things here are becoming kind of the norm. Let's dive into this mechanical construction of this engine. We'll talk about some of its technologies. So this is a plastic valve cover engine. Pretty high quality plastic valve cover. We haven't had a single failure that I know of. I worked on these exclusively. Haven't had a single failure on the valve cover, so far so good. The cylinder head is a two-piece cylinder head with roller rockers and hydraulic lifters, and this engine is a dual VVTi. The intake is electronic. You have a motor that spins the inner part of the gear. If the motor speeds up faster than the speed of the cam, it advances the timing. If it spins slower, it retards the timing. If it's spinning at the same speed, it's base timing. The exhaust is oil controlled, very basic setup. And this engine does have two timing chains, one of them from the cams to the crank, one of them for the oil pump, very basic there. This engine does have dual front timing covers. So this is an issue that Toyota's had for a long time with front timing covers on their engines. The area where the block meets the head, meets the front cover, that point is a weak spot. So this one bypasses that, so you don't have sealer there and it wouldn't leak. So far so good. There's been a few seepages here and there, but nothing over the top. So this engine does have D4S. So you have 4 direct injectors that sit right underneath the intake manifold, and then 4 port injectors. So you have kind of best of both worlds. So this engine is not known to build carbon, which is really nice. This engine doesn't have a drive belt in this particular configuration. So you have electric water pump. Even in the non-hybrid version of this engine, you have an electric water pump. Of course, in this car, we don't have that. You do have an electric compressor because this is a hybrid, and you don't have an alternator because this is a hybrid. So there's actually no drive belt on this car, which is pretty cool. Now, this engine does have EGR that is coolant cooled. Unlike the previous generation hybrids with EGR that had issues, so far so good on this engine. We haven't had issues, we haven't seen issues, so that is good. This engine also does have a pretty sophisticated cooling system. So you do have a coolant valve that distributes coolant where it needs to go for optimum performance, for faster warm-ups. Now, in the early years of this engine, we did have issues with some of the valves. They were going out, and things have quieted down lately. We've had a batch of the first couple of years, so 18, 19, even some 20s, but things have been a lot better with that, so we're hoping it continues that way. Now, the Crown Signia is a hybrid only, so let's talk about the hybrid system. Under the hood, you have the kind of the brain of the operation. They changed the name from inverter converter assembly to PCU, or power control unit. So what this unit has, it has the inverter that drives the 2 motors in the transmission. This is a parallel series hybrid, nothing really special about it. And it drives the rear motor, which is MGR, because this is all-wheel drive. It also has the boost converter, which takes the battery voltage and ups it up to 650 volt to give you kind of a boost. And then it also has the DC to DC converter. It takes that voltage from the high voltage battery, steps it down to 12 to 14 volts to charge the battery, the 12 volt battery, and power all the accessories. So that takes the place of the alternator. Very, very basic design. I know when you look at it, it looks extremely complicated, but it's actually not. They've been doing this exact kind of configuration of system and improving on it since the first generation. It works exactly the same way. They've just been improving on it. And improving on it is an understatement because this is very smooth. Now here's the interesting thing about this. It's already been out for a few years in other models, so it's not exactly all new. And then the battery. The hybrid battery sits right underneath the back seat. They've been doing that for a long time. It's not a lithium ion, it's a nickel metal hydride. So old school battery there. Air cooled, does have a filter on one side. You got to make sure that filter is always clean and maintained. Very simple to do it yourself. They didn't overcomplicate it at all. The transmission here, the hybrid transmission, it is an eCVT, not to be mistaken with a regular CVT. This is a very stout, one of the stronger hybrid transmissions. It's actually surprised they put it in this. It's a P810 transmission. You'll find that same transmission in the likes of the Sienna hybrid, the Highlander hybrid, and a few other models. It's a very stout transmission is the way I'm going to call it, because there hasn't been any issues with it. It's pretty strong, and because we have this transmission and this particular drivetrain, this can tow up to 2,700 pounds. Kind of a surprise. The hybrids usually are not good. At least parallel series hybrids are not really meant for towing, but this one can tow 2,700 pounds. Hey, something's better than nothing. Now, this being an all-wheel drive unit, the rear e-differential or e-all-wheel drive, so there's no connection. We'll look at that when we look underneath it. That unit is the Q610, also an older unit that it has been used in other models, not the newest one that we've seen. So both the transmission and the rear unit actually use WS transmission fluid. Do not use the new transaxle fluid. So these are older units, and I'd love to see that, folks. This is what they did here. This is a parts bin special. They took an engine out of a Highlander hybrid, took a transmission out of a Highlander hybrid, put an old school battery in the back, and let's go. There's absolutely nothing new here. If you've worked on a 2018 Camry hybrid, you can work on this engine because it's exactly the same. If you've worked on a hybrid Highlander transmission, this is exactly the same, even though you'll never work on it because they're so reliable. I have to say that. Now, there is a few things here. This is where it starts, the theme of this car. This is a Lexus that isn't, and there are a few touches under the hood that just really tells you that. Look at the engine cover, the insulating cover. So the A25A normally has a cover that looks like this, which is a flimsy little cover. It's just there for insulation and aesthetics, which is fine. But this cover is usually meant for Lexus. You'll have a Lexus logo. You'll see it in like the NX, the UX even will have a similar cover. This one has it. This is a Lexus cover. It looks actually very nice. It's pretty nicely made. And then if you look at the hinges of the hood, that'll remind you of an LS500. They'll have the exact same thing on the hinges. This is a little charge, so if you were to hit a pedestrian, it'll pop the hood up to protect them. This is 100% Lexus. You see it right here. Not any Lexus. LS500, the top flagship. And here they are in the Crown Signia. Folks, the build quality of things under the hood are impeccable. That's the word I'm going to use. And there's a good reason for that. This thing is made in Japan, and that is pretty cool. So this is how Toyota makes reliable cars. This is the formula right here. And I love to see it. I love that they did not go with a bespoke transmission, put an all new engine, or put the turbo engine, no, they just used everything they have already. They've had for a while, and just made this car. Because why would you need to reinvent the wheel with a car like this? I love that. The last thing I want to say is about maintenance, in case you're not familiar with Toyota hybrids. Cooling system, you have two cooling systems, one for the engine, pretty standard. The other one is for the hybrid system, mainly the inverter. This is the only additional service that this has, but you don't have a starter, you don't have an alternator, you don't have a drive belt to worry about, so there's additional maintenance and there is negative maintenance, if you would. And then the other thing is this engine takes W8, 0 W8 oil. That's how Toyota deemed it. They're trying to push the envelope for fuel economy. And this one gets almost 40 miles to the gallon, which is pretty cool. That 0 W8 oil, though, pretty expensive if you buy from Toyota at almost $20 a quart. But Mobil 1 actually is starting to sell it, which is going to eventually bring the prices down, which is really nice. Let's take a look underneath the 2024 Crown Signia. Now everything is covered underneath. This, basically, when I stand underneath it, I feel like I'm underneath a RAV4 that's just a little bit different, that flat out, because that's the parts bin special. Don't get me wrong, that is one of the best things about this car. They give you a cutout here for this, for lifting the car from the front. That's the subframe. That is an improved lift point if you need it. You do get a little cover here. This is where your oil filter is. Drain plug is right here. Things are very simple there, and I like that. Now, if you want to do coolant or other stuff, you unfortunately do have to remove panels, which is okay. It's not something you do every so often. Looking at the front suspension here, classic Toyota front suspension. Lower control arm is steel. Ball joint that is separate. 2 nuts, 1 bolt. They've been using this design for a very long time. Dual piston caliper, aluminum knuckle. Pretty big axle. I was kind of surprised to see. And the best part is, if you look really close at this axle, this is painted and this is painted. That's slowly disappearing from a few other models. Not this one though. McPherson strut design, which is pretty standard, nothing really special about it. But if you come around, and we wish they would not use this. This does look a little bit different. This is an aluminum sway bar link. I wish they would use a steel one, but we'll see if this one is good. And if you notice something all the way up here, this one has an oil cooler, which is pretty cool. That helps it with towing 2,700 pounds, as we talked about. Beyond that, if you look at the exhaust, it kind of wraps around, comes always to almost to the side. Reason for this is the fuel tank. And the reason the fuel tank had to take this much space, the battery's on top. So they curved the exhaust to the side to get it out of the way. Remember, this is E all-wheel drive. You don't have a drive shaft. So when you come here, we have MGR, rear transaxle unit here. This is not an all-new unit. This is a Q610, as we talked about. Very old school, very reliable, very simple. The only thing we've ever had issues with these, it was the RAV4s when the current generation first came out. The wire would get corrosion in it and whatnot. This one actually has the most updated one with the opening that drains the water, so we don't have that issue. Axles are very small here. Again, this is not meant for heavy off-road or whatnot. This is just to assist in driving. And also, this is painted and the inside is painted. This is a little touches that tells you they care. Looking at the rear suspension, this is basically like looking at all current Toyota models, very similar setup. You do have a multi-link suspension. All the arms are steel, knuckle is aluminum, sway bar link is aluminum, and look, it has a very interesting shape. And this is something Toyota is starting to do. They're starting to cover the tips. I love this. More of this, please, for service later. These are cars, hopefully, we'll keep for a long time. Single piston caliper in the back with integrated park and brake. Things are pretty basic here. We don't have anything over the top. Basically, every single modern Toyota would look like this, which is a good thing. You know, there's no bespoke stuff, and that's the theme of this car. Exhaust is very high quality. As Toyota is usually one of the higher quality exhausts out there. They do last a long time, which is nice. Now, something to notice here. This is open, but they did at least attempt with a slight cover here, same thing on this side. I just wish they took it all the way up. That would have been nicer, but hey. Something they did though, and that I do like. If you notice this cover, it's actually covered at the top here. So you're not gonna start collecting stuff here and it just turns into a giant mess. This is actually pretty cool. And folks, I just have to say one thing. The build quality here is a really good sign. I mean, some are suggesting that Toyota is losing their quality and they're going downhill. This is very nice. And this is the kind of car that they make. This is the stuff I want to see in a Toyota, in a modern Toyota. And this particular one is a very Toyota. I hope that makes sense. Everything I'm seeing here I like. Except, what's up with Toyota using wheel bolts? What was wrong with the studs? And this one, I guess, gets the wheel bolts. So you notice this is another Lexus thing. That if this doesn't tell you this, they're trying to go after a Lexus with this one. I don't know what else will. Let's take a look at the outside of the Crown Signia. And this has two ways you can look at it. You can look at it as a striking design, or you can look at it as a subtle, very Toyota-like look. There's a few things though that are very interesting, and I want you to pay attention to them. This grille is a very Lexus-y grille. It's just kind of subtle and hidden in the background. You notice just the hint of the spindle, and it just stops right here. We're trying to tell you this is a Lexus, but without telling you this is a Lexus. Now this part, the upper part, is the kind of the Toyota new design with the logo up here, radar sensor right here, which is, I think is a really good looking car. It's not gonna stop the show, but it's a nice design. It has a certain elegance to it. Another thing that's interesting, for reasons beyond me, where Toyota now is copying Hyundai, because Hyundai actually started this trend, the headlight is down here. So I guess that is, Hyundai gets the credit. They're starting a trend here, and everybody's starting to do this. Now, these headlights do have a washer that comes from the top here, washes them. And by wash them, I mean just splatter fluid all over the place and wash nothing. I just had to say that. And that is manual and has a button. So there is that. Now, looking at the design here, the hood is a little much. You have this plane here, then it all of a sudden comes up a lot, and then it goes. If that was a little less subtle, we would also be okay with it, but it's not. It's okay. It's not the end of the planet. But we come to the side here. These are 21-inch wheels, and they don't even look like it. And that's the cool part. I think they're really nice wheels. These are painted black, but here's the interesting part. And this is the part where Toyota, if you're watching, do this on the Tundra, not what we have on the Tundra. Because this finish, this is the exact same color as the one on the Tundra, but the finish on this is beautiful. The one on the Tundra isn't. And yeah, let's do that on everything else, because this is really nice. Now, everything else on the side is, there is not much going on, except there's actually something huge going on. If you come and look at this, there is this protrusion here. Like there is literally, this is almost flat here. It has a slight curve into it, but this is almost flat. And the side effect of that is, look at this door. This is a pretty big door. That's for safety, folks. So who started that is Volvo. Volvo used to do that, and they actually still do in their cars. This gives you a big side panel where you have a lot of room for side impact. I like that. So let's do the count here. We're doing Hyundai headlights, Volvo doors. What else are we gonna find? Well, we're gonna find something very interesting. So if you come to the glass here, this says Toyota, as you would expect. But then we come to the rear glass and it says Toyota backwards. It's just, they missed that one. And actually this one too. And this one as well. That's okay. That's the little stuff. Yeah. Moving past that. The doors. And this is the biggest indication this is a Lexus-ish. And that ish part I actually don't like. So this limited trim, it has lock-unlock on the front handle and the rear handle, and it has a digital key. That is pretty cool. For a Toyota to do that on a Toyota, especially the digital key part, that's a leap. But here's the problem. Only on the limited trim, not on the XLE. XLE will only have it in the front. Hardly the end of the world, but this would have been nice all around. This is actually a nice feature if you have a family, I think. Moving away from that, visibility through this glass is actually pretty good. They didn't make some swoopy design here to make it a line, make this window this big. No, this is a pretty large window and visibility is really good, and I like that. Then coming around the back, it does have a just slight hint from the Venza, the outgoing Venza. For some reason it's outgoing. This is not the replacement, but yeah, it does have a hint that this is a Venza. It's a pretty subtle design, nothing really over the top. I like the bar tail light. It has an elegance to it, and I like that. I really like it. It's not over designed. Now, what is interesting here is a few things. First, the Toyota logo is tiny, very small. That's fine. I'm with small logos. Crown in a very nice font. I really like this font. Do you notice it doesn't say Signia anywhere? So I don't know what was that about. So why don't we just call this the Crown SUV or wagon, or I'm still figuring out what this exactly is. But here's the part I don't understand. Hybrid electric vehicle on the Beyond Zero logo. Did we overstock this Toyota? They're all hybrid, so why do we need to say it's a hybrid? That's all-wheel drive, can't live with that. Limited, the trim, that's fine. But this HEV logo could totally take this and save 2 cents, Toyota. That would be perfectly fine. So look at the back here. So there are a few interesting things here. First thing is, this is a power back door with dual motors, and the wire goes into the hatch. This is, I think, the best design for service. You're not tearing into the headliner, you're not doing any of that. It is balanced on the door, so the door is balanced when it opens. Downside is if it goes out, you have 2 motors to replace. That's good and bad about everything. Pretty large space here. And I actually like this space. I think for this kind of, we're exploring a new segment, I guess. This is a pretty nice size for the bag. But what is more impressive is the material. There's no way for you to feel this material just for me talking about it. But if you ever see one of these, go check it out. Same thing here. This is a Lexus material. This is not a Toyota material. If you go in your RAV4, it ain't gonna be this nice. That I can guarantee you. The second thing is the handle here. This is a very Lexus handle. This is very nice to see in a Toyota model. Same thing with this aluminum piece. I love it. And this is closed, not just wide open. They let you kind of have it flat. Then we open this. We do have some storage. The battery is right here. That's a 12-volt battery right there. Very simple location. Little door that covers it. Then the part I don't get. Let's figure out how this opens. Do you notice the very perfectly round spare tire shape? But this is just fixed with a clip and there's no spare tire. So we're gonna make you buy a spare tire and put it here, which is fine. At least they left you a space for it. You do have the horrible inflate kit. But spare tire would be nice here, but this one does, this particular one, the limited trim, does not have it. But then there's more stuff here. So this cover here is nice, but watch the back seats. I have these handles here that just, and they just go. That is a lot of space. But there's one more thing that is just the little stuff. We have to look at the little stuff. So to give you even more room, they gave you these little panels. Now, if you move the seat forward, they actually fold flat completely, and they give you a little bit more storage here. That is actually pretty cool. The only thing is, they actually give you a little warning. You can see it right there. These panels, the ends only, they have a 45-pound weight limit. So only this section will have a 45-pound limit. The rest of it, I guess, unlimited pound limit. It doesn't say it, and unlimited, but you know what I mean. But this is nice. They actually thought of this. That is pretty cool. I like this. And more on the door here, you have close the back door or close it and lock it. That is a pretty nice feature. You do have a little light here to light up this area, which is nice. And then in addition to that, the reverse lights. Let's talk about the reverse light because they are really proud of this part. I mean, so proud of it, we have to talk about it because some engineer will get really upset with us if we don't. The reverse light, which you can't even see standing right next to the car, they are LED and they have a bulb that is replaceable separate from the housing. Great. I'll do the rest of them does as well, especially the brake light that loves to go. Yeah, let's leave it at that. The last thing on this car is the bumper. This is something that's becoming a trend in the automotive industry where there is no bumper sticking out. You hit anything, you're gonna hit the back door. However, this one has a tiny bumper, not completely flat, like say a Sienna, which is just flat. This one has a tiny little bumper. You'd have a little bit more here, so at least we're moving in the right direction, I guess. And of course, there is no luxury car out there that is called a luxury car without having the world's giant third brake light. I mean, this is massive. I don't know why we need it to be this massive. Runs the whole length of the spoiler, but That's how you know you have a luxury car, and the third brake light is almost as big as your rear window. Let's take a look at the interior of the Crown Signia. I mean, this is such a nice place to be, it has to be said. They really did this one well. I mean, this is a almost perfect blend of classic, simple, elegant, and modern at the same time. They really did this one well. Let's explore through it, and you'll see there's a lot of Lexus touches here. A lot. This is my favorite part. So let's start with the infotainment. This is a 21mm. For some reason they changed the name. It used to be 21CY. Infotainment system. This is the latest infotainment system. It is good. It has a lot of features. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and all that good stuff. Glitchy. But I noticed they recently issued an update for it. Things are getting better. But there's still occasional glitch here and there where it wouldn't connect and just freeze up. That's pretty standard with Toyota. They're usually never ahead of the pack with their infotainment systems. This gauge is all screen here. Now usually I'm against screens with gauge because they add nothing of function other than just raise the price of the car, and if it breaks down it costs you a fortune. But this one displays the map, which I really appreciate. At least you have a feature that you can justify having a screen. It's a nice screen, simple to work with, a lot of customizations, which is okay. Now the shifter is this we used to call it the Prius shifter because the original Prius had a very similar thing. It's shift-by-wire, possibly the least gimmicky shift-by-wire shifter I have seen in the automotive industry. There are some similar, but this is probably the least gimmicky one. But the cool thing is we're going to give it an upgrade. This is an LC500 shifter. It's exactly the same, actually, even the same shape, which is pretty cool. And speaking of LC500 and Lexus, there's a lot of Lexus touches here. The first one is the level of insulation here. I mean, it is so smooth and quiet here. You think you are in a Lexus, and that is the best part about this interior. And the second Lexus touch, the center console, it opens this way, but it also opens the other way. That is really cool. Usually you'll see this in an ES350, which is a really nice touch. You have it here. And possibly the best thing about this car are the seats, and the lack of a sport model that is designed to jar your skull and not be sport at all. The seats are so comfortable, and they're this soft, nice leather. They're plush, they're comfortable. I love them. And the best part is, you don't have to go to the higher trims to get this nice saddle tan if you want it, or you can have an option of a black. No, this is the same one in the XLE, which is the best part. This is the base model, technically. I love that. And then you look at the dash, it has this dual tier design on the one side, and then we have these gold accents that run across. We saw something similar in the regular Crown, the not sedan Crown. This is so nice to look at. But at the same time that it's nice to look at, your HVAC controls, your heated and cooled seats, they're all buttons. You have some buttons here. Everything is button. You can shut off the screen and operate this car. That's the best part. They kept it simple. The only part that completely feels out of place is the paddle shifters. Why do we need a paddle shifter in a hybrid that is meant for comfort and kind of luxury? I don't know. The only reason I can think of is this is a parts bin special car, so they already had the steering wheel with this. We're not going to make a bespoke steering wheel without these. So here you go. Completely out of place. That's fine. Now, one thing I actually dislike about this interior, the driver monitor. It is a Lexus feature. Super annoying. So annoying to a level that you'll end up shutting it off when you paid for it. That's the only serious gimmicky part about this interior. So there's a camera on top of the steering wheel that always looks at your face. But if you just move your arm a little bit or kind of just look this way, it'll beep at you. And then you're stopped at an intersection waiting for cars to pass. It'll start beeping. There's a car coming. I know, I'm stopped waiting for it to pass. So why are you yelling at me? You'll end up shutting it off and you paid for it. Wish it wouldn't be this hyperactive. And then the panel roof on this upper trim, it is a fixed glass, so you can open the whole thing and nothing opens or whatnot, but you have this big bar that runs across. Very strange why that is, and feels so forward. It almost feels like the sunroof is tiny in the front. That's just how they deemed it, I suppose. Let's take a look at the back seat of the Crown Signia. I'm 5'7", this is my driving position. I have plenty of knee room, decent headroom, even though this has the glass roof deal. So this back seat is super comfortable. And what I love about it is the cushioning here is soft. Cars are moving towards hard cushion, so they're sport. Not this one. This one has very soft seats, and I love them. This is a very comfortable seat. You do have some vents here. You do have some USB-C here in the middle. But the best part is this seat, you have the leather here, and looking at it on camera, this part is black. This is actually not some cheapo plastic. This is also the exact same leather. And I can imagine that if you get the black one, this is the exact color black that you're going to get. They actually changed this to black, I'm assuming it's easier to clean and keep clean and whatnot. But they did not cheap out and put some cheapo plastic here. This is actually the exact same leather, which is really nice. This is such a nice interior. I mean, I'm going to repeat this again. We just said it. The best thing about this car is how smooth and quiet it is. And that has to do with a small thing that this car has. This car actually has active noise cancellation. So there's 4 microphones spread across. The 2 front ones are also used for the hands-free calling, but the rear ones are used for active noise cancellation. So it'll listen into the noise and then it'll emit a noise through the speakers that cancels it out. And that's what helps with this car be so quiet. It is very, very quiet, almost Lexus level quiet, which is really nice. Let's talk about some things I do not like about this car. And I have to be honest, I was surprised by this. This is such a nice car. There is no other way to say it. But nothing is perfect. And although a few of these items are slight nitpicks, but one of them I feel like could be addressed easily by Toyota. The first thing is the door feeling. Nitpick, total nitpick, but it's such a nice car. When you close the door, it just doesn't reflect the rest of how nice the rest of it is. Small nitpick. Second thing is the panel roof. Well, it doesn't really open. It's just a glass. But the best part is, because it's a continuous piece of glass, but there's this big black thing in the middle of it. And I feel like when you sit in the driver's seat, you look up, that's what you see. The front portion is so small. I'm assuming that's a structural piece, but it just doesn't make sense. Why don't we just put a regular sunroof and call it a day? Or get a panel from a RAV4 Pride. Just put it in here, whatever. I don't know why that is the case, but the good thing is, if you buy the XLE, you don't have to deal with that. And the last thing is, which I think is the only, at least in my humble opinion, a valid concern, the door handle situation. So in the XLE, which I love the XLE because it's exactly the same car without the gimmicks, you only get smart key in the front, not the rear as well. I mean, this is such a nice car, and it is almost a Lexus. The only part is that you lose it with the XLE, not the end of the world, but I wish if they would add it, even if you raise the price slightly, a lot of folks would really appreciate it, because that's such a nice feature, actually. And this is the 2025 Crown Signia. This car is a parts bin special. Some folks, especially the folks that designed it, they will be very offended by this. What do you mean? That sounds horrible. This is actually the secret sauce of Toyota. Everything in this car is not exclusive. It's not new. It's not bespoke, and we're just putting it out for the first time and figuring it out, except the body and the stuff. The engine and the transmission, shared with other models. The battery, it's not even lithium-ion battery. The technology behind the scenes, the safety sense, all the safety systems, the infotainment, the screen, everything. It's all shared with other models that have been shared for multiple years before this. The best part is when they make a car like this, they're not spending the entire budget on the powertrain and the refinement and the interior and this and that, and then they have to glue everything back together just to make it work at the end because they ran out of budget. No, they spend the entire budget on this car, on the design of the outside and the inside stuff that they were specific to this car. And the result of that is, this is a very track-proving car that just came out. This engine's been out for a while. Transmission been out for a while. Hybrid technology's been out for a while. Nothing is technically new on the big-ticket items. This is such a nice car. This is not a car that's going to move your emotions, make you very excited. This is a very, very good A to B car that is elegant. This is the stepping stone into Lexus. You go buy something from Lexus this size or smaller, it's going to cost you a lot more. But here, you have a lot of the good stuff about Lexus. It is refined, it is quiet, it is not offending to look at. It's actually good looking in my opinion, but that is very opinion based. The inside is where the treats are. It is not complicated. It is not over the top just to be modern and cool. There's no gimmicks. And I love that part. There are some gimmicks when you get into the options, but the base build of the car, there's no gimmicks. The seats, oh, the seats. There's no word sport in this car. It just doesn't exist. Beyond the paddles, which doesn't make sense, there is no sport in this car. It's a comfortable car, full stop. And it does that so well. It is very refined, very elegant. You get into this car, you just smile because you did not pay a small fortune for this car. They're expensive, don't get me wrong, but when you compare it to alternatives, you did not pay a small fortune, but you have Lexus level refinement. And that is the coolest thing about this car. No car is perfect. The doors, even though it's not the end of the planet, we're nitpicking here, the doors do feel a little cheaper. The paddle shifters completely feel out of place. And then the packaging of this car. Let's talk about the packaging. There's really good stuff, and there's one bad thing. I love the packaging of this car. See, they didn't complicate it. There's only two trims. There's the XLE, and then there's the Limited. And then Limited, you have one option, the Limited Advanced package or technology package. So basically, if you don't want any of the ridiculous gimmicks that make the car no better, buy the XLE. I think at the price that it's at, it's a very good price because this is such a nice car. And the best part is you don't lose the core features. You get the same infotainment system, same screen, same comfortable seats, same interior. You don't get this very questionable panel sunroof, and you don't get some of the gimmicks with the safety system. You just get the basics. And that is the coolest thing. So if you want the gimmicks, you can spend $7,600 more there on about and get all the gimmicks. But if you don't want the gimmicks, you just want a nice car that has all the basic features that most will want, just get the XLE. It even had heated and cooled seats, with the exception of one thing, which I wish they did not do. The lock unlock without the key on the doors. On the XLE, it's only in the front, not the all four. That I wish was not the case. But other than this is a surprise. This is a breath of fresh air. This is what Toyota does best. The parts bin special cars. We're gonna take everything from our existing lineup, we're gonna put them together and put a body around it and spend all our budget making this body and this interior as nice as possible. And here you go. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Lately, at least with a few models, they've done the opposite of that and things are not going well. But I love to see this. This is back to form. Folks, I hope this video was helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.